Namaskar. Myself, Dr. Deepti Bisht, Professor, Department of Chikitsa, Faculty of Ayurveda Sciences, Jyoti Vidyapeeth, Women's University, Jaipur. Today in this session for BMS fourth year students, I am going to discuss about National Malaria Control Program, which is in your syllabus of paper 1 part B. So let's start the topic. First of all, the goal. The goal of most current national malaria control program and most malarial activities is to reduce the number of malaria related cases and deaths. To reduce malaria transmission to a level where it is no longer a public health problem is the goal of what is called malaria control. And then next thing, the difference between control, elimination and eradication should be understood because it is necessary why we call this program as National Malaria Control Program and not Malaria Eradication or Malaria Elimination Program. So control of malaria differs from elimination or eradication of malaria. Elimination is local or regional in scope. Eradication is global elimination. Eradication is not achieved until malaria is gone from the natural world. So it is a very long way to go to finally for eradication. So in today's scenario, we have National Malaria Control Program. Malaria is prevalent in several parts of our country. High burden states are northeastern states, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Gujarat, Rajasthan, West Bengal, and Karnataka. Now, before going towards topic, let's discuss some brief points regarding malaria, its sign and symptoms. Typically, malaria produces fever, headache, vomiting, and other flu-like symptoms. Parasites infect and destroys red blood cells, as you know, resulting in easy fatigability due to anemia. There may be fits or convulsions and loss of consciousness. Parasites are usually carried by blood to the brain and then they cause cerebral malaria, which is most fatal condition, and to other vital organs. These parasites can also be carried. Malaria in pregnancy poses a very great risk to the mother, the fetus, and newborn infant. Pregnant women are less capable of coping with and clearing the malaria infect ions, so it adversely affects the unborn fetus. Now, symptoms of severe and complicated malaria. The symptoms are a history of high fever plus at least one of the following features like prostration means inability to sit, altered consciousness, lethargy or coma. Breathing difficulties may be there, condition of severe anemia, generalized convulsions or fits, inability to drink or condition of vomiting may be there, urine may be very dark in color or there may be limited production of urine, that is oliguria. Signs of severe and complicated malaria. Cerebral malaria, as I said earlier, is the most fatal type of malaria. Is defined as unerasable coma, not attributable to any other cause in a patient with falciparum malaria. General conversions are there. Anemia is normocytic, renal failure, hypoglycemia, fluid, electrolyte and acid-base disturbances, pulmonary edema, circulatory collapse and shock called algic malaria, spontaneous bleeding, DIC, hyperpyrexia, hyperparasitemia, and malarial hemoglobinuria. All these conditions, all these clinical features are seen in complicated type of malaria, that is cerebral malaria. Now, history of malaria control in India. History is very old in malaria. National Malarial Control Program was launched during the year 1953 in the entire country. Then in 1958, after approx 5 years, National Malaria Eradication Program was launched. In 1972, the Urban Malaria Scheme was also launched. covering 131 cities and towns at that time. In the year 1977, modified plan of operation was launched in which laboratory facilities were decentralized from district to block level. Then in the year 1995, Malaria Action Plan was executed where emphasis was given on revised drug schedule in high-risk areas. In the year 1999, with a change in policy, the program was renamed as National Anti-Malaria Program. So these are the milestones in the history of malaria control program in India. Now, latest in year 2003, vector-borne diseases like malaria, filaria, dengue, chikungunya, kala-azar, and Japanese encephalitis, all these 6 specific vector-borne diseases were kept in one umbrella, and the program was named as National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program. So in today's scenario, this National Malaria Control Program is under this NVVDCP. Intensified Malaria Control Project was launched in 2005 with assistance of Global Fund for AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria in northeastern states, Odisha, Jharkhand and West Bengal. So this NVBDCP were merged in National Rural Health Mission in 2005 for wide coverage of malaria program all over the country. Now, what are the malaria control strategies? The strategies which are used in controlling malaria. First of all, early case detection and prompt treatment should be there, EDCT. For this, radical treatment is necessary for all the cases of malaria to prevent transmission of malaria. As you know, chloroquine is the main anti-malarial drug for uncomplicated malaria. Drug distribution centers and fever treatment depots have been established in rural areas for providing easy access to anti-malarial drugs to the community. Alternative drugs for chloroquine-resistant malaria are recommended and also provided through these drug distribution centers and fever treatment depots. Next, the strategy plan is vector control, which is very important. For this, chemical control is done by the use of indoor residual spray with insecticides recommended under the program, use of chemical larvicides like ABS in potable water, aerosol spray during daytime, malathion fogging during outbreak. Biological control is achieved by using larvivorous fish in ornamental tanks, fountains, etc., and use of biocides. Personal prophylactic measures that individuals or communities can take up are also advised, like use of mosquito repellent cream, liquid, coil, mats, etc., screening of the houses with wire mesh, use of bed nets treated with insecticide, wearing clothes that cover maximum surface area of the body. These are the basic personal prophylactic measures. Third plan is community participation. That means sensitizing and involving the community for detection of Anopheles breeding places and their elimination, NGO schemes involving them in program strategies. So for all these, TV ads or radio ads are used for this purpose. Environmental management and source reduction is another strategic plan for this. Filling of the breeding places, proper covering of stored water, channelization of breeding source, all these things are done. Last and important point is monitoring and evaluation of the program. So this is monitored through monthly computerized management information system, CMIS, field visits by state national program officers, then field visits by malaria research centers and other ICMR institutes, feedback to states on field observation for correction of action. So this fifth point is also very important. In spite of all these strategies, challenges in malaria control are still there. Malaria control program was launched since last 60 years, but still we are not able to control malaria. There are so many challenges like tribal malaria. Here the constant movement of tribal people in forests make it difficult to treat individuals, and the malaria dermaticide load remains high. Main cause of malaria can be removed by improving the environmental sanitation, which is not emphasized till date. Lack of community involvement is an important hindrance in achieving malarial control. Development of anti-malarial drug resistance is another area of concern. Treatment in both the public and private sectors is hampered by low quality of care, inefficiency in service delivery, and low utilization of adequate care. Shortage of manpower in rural, tribal, and hilly areas is really a major problem area. So this was all about the National Control Program regarding malaria. Hope you liked the session. In next lecture, we will discuss about some other national programs. Till then, goodbye. Thank you very much.